Hey guys, my name is Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about some 5-star predictions for my current TBR pile. So these kind of videos have been going around for at least a year, if not longer, on BookTube. The idea is that you just make some predictions about what books on your bookshelf are likely to be 5 stars by the time you get around to reading them, and then in theory, once you've finished reading all of them, you come back and see how accurate your predictions were. So I thought I'd jump in with this. It sounds like good fun. I've never done one of these before, and I thought it'd be a good way of really kind of guiding my reading for 2019. I'm doing a lot of these kind of videos of like trying to make some good intentions for exactly what I want to read in 2019, rather than just picking up any old thing and not prioritizing books on my bookshelf that I know I'm going to enjoy. So with that in mind, I have, I think, 10. I can't really count. So we have some predictions for you. In theory, 10. We'll find out. The first book that I'm going to predict to be 5 stars is Suicide Club by Rachel Hang. I have this currently in ebook form, and this is a world where you can't die. People are immortal, but then you can take your own life, and I think there's something to do with the club that decides to do that as some kind of statement. I'm not 100% certain exactly what it's on about, but I remember a while ago now watching a few videos of people talking about it and it sounding really interesting and exciting, and I generally quite like speculative fiction, dystopian type books, so I'm thinking that it will probably make me think and make me ponder things and the meaning of life and all that jazz, even if it's not brilliantly well done. So because of that, I'm highly likely to give it a 5 stars. The next one on my list for 5-star predictions is Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield. So this is a tale of a child being found in the River Thames, I think, and she has some sort of mystical freaky abilities. The reason I think that this is going to be 5 stars is because I've heard that it's relatively similar to The Bear and the Nightingale and sort of those atmospheric books like that. It combines folklore and science, magic and myth, and those kind of buzzwords tend to be books that I really enjoy. I also know that a book Olive read this recently and absolutely adored it, and I generally find that my reading tastes match relatively similar to hers when it comes to fiction especially, so I'm hoping that that recommendation from her will kind of bolster this one. So this is why I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 5-star read. It just depends on how atmospheric it can actually be. One that needs no introduction is Bird Box by Josh Malerman. This was already fairly popular and then the Netflix movie has made it explode, but basically it's a horror novel where something to do with if you see the bad thing that's out there, it makes you either want to hurt other people or hurt yourself. So everybody has to go around blindfolded. It's basically the blind version of A Quiet Place. I have never read any Josh Malerman before, but this was getting a lot of hype and I was really excited about it. And then I saw a review on Instagram from somebody who said that it reminded her a lot of Joe Hill's Heart-Shaped Box when it came to the general kind of vibe of the writing. Heart-Shaped Box is one of my all-time favourite books ever, so for me that was an absolutely glowing review, which means that this is shot right up to 5-star predictionville. I really hope now that the hype hasn't just risen this book beyond what it can actually meet, and that I will enjoy it as much as I think I will, given just how much talk there has been about it. One that is pretty much a given is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, or Crichton. I never know, I really need to Google this. So for those of you who are unaware, I am flipping obsessed with dinosaurs and also with the Jurassic Park franchise. The fact that I haven't read these books yet already is honestly mind-boggling. Like, I don't understand how I've managed to miss them in my reading lifetime, given how much I love the movies and Walking with Dinosaurs and dinosaur books in general and just all things dino. So this can go one of two ways. Either it's going to be 5 stars because it's about dinosaurs and of course I'm going to have a good time, or it's going to be an absolute flop because my expectations cannot possibly meet it. So we'll find out. The next one I'm hoping to get to real soon, and indeed might have even read by the time this video comes out because I've got confused with my video scheduling again, is Artemis by Andy Weir. So this is on my Thrillerathon TBR, which is why I'm filming this right now, because I suddenly realised I need to read this before I put this, I need to film this video before I read this. So Andy Weir wrote The Martian, which was one of my favourite books of, I think 2017 was when I read it, but basically it's up there as kind of, you know, top 20 favourite books. maybe top 30, depending on how strict we want to be. I really liked Andy Weir's writing style. I thought The Martian was hysterically funny, and I loved the amount of science in it, and I'm really hopeful that his second book can carry him through. This is set on the moon, and is something to do with some kind of big heist type thing, but obviously set in space with all of the ramifications of that. I don't know a massive amount more. I don't really want to know any more, so I'm hoping it's a short fun read that lives up to the hype that I've built up for it. Those are probably my big popular books, and now we're going to go into some ones that are slightly off the beaten track on my TBR pile. So the next one that I want to talk about is Midnight Never Comes by Marie Brennan. So I read Marie Brennan's first book in her Lady Trent series, which is about dragons, and is like a memoir of almost like a natural history or a natural historian, but in a fictional world where dragons exist. I have book 2 on my shelves, but I didn't want to include that one in this list because it just seemed really obvious. Like, I think continuations of a series are pretty much a given that I'm going to give them 5 stars. I've got The Winter of the Witch by Katherine Arden on my shelves as well, which is book 3 of the Winter Night trilogy, which again, it's going to be 5 stars. Like, it's just a given, so there's no point even like including it in this sort of a video because it's there's no chance it's not. So to go back to this book, this one is the first book of a different series of Marie Brennan's, which is about fairies, and it's fairies set in the Elizabethan time. So that sounds just gorgeous and like wonderful before we've even started, and I know that I like Marie Brennan's writing style because of the fact that I have read one of hers before. So given those two things combined, I'm fairly certain that this is going to be a 5 star. Having said that, the number of times where I've enjoyed one book from an author and then gone to pick up another book in like a different series and be completely burned by it and not enjoyed it is overwhelming. Like, I really don't ever have favourite authors. I have favourite books by people who I don't always necessarily like their back catalogue. So there is always the possibility that this one I don't enjoy as much. One that I've never heard talked about on BookTube but just sounded right up my street was Love Minus 80 by Will Mackintosh. This is quite an old book as far as I'm aware. We're talking backlist early 2000s. I honestly can't remember what this is about. I've had it on my shelves now for nearly a year. At least 6 months, probably longer. I'm guessing closer to a year. It's something to do with, it's like a modern day, it's like a futuristic love story in a sci-fi world where technology has gone a bit further. I'm pretty sure people get frozen. Like, I think cryogenics is involved in this in some way. The back mentions a hit and run victim and her killer, and then a romance unfolding between the two of them. I can't remember why I was really psyched to get it, but I remember being super psyched to get it. So I'm assuming past Emma's psyched levels is an indicator that this is going to be a 5-star read. So this one's a bit more of a gamble, but I'm hoping by putting it in a video like this, I actually get around to finally reading it, because it's been on my shelf for ages, and I remember being so excited when it came through the post. And why haven't I read it yet? Because of that. Another one that I was so excited to get in the post, and I can't work out why I haven't read it yet, is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. So Ken Liu featured in my video of authors I want to read in 2019 who I've never read before. I have a collection of short stories by him, but this is the big beefy fantasy book that I'm really I really want to get to. This, I think, as far as I'm aware, is Game of Thrones but Native American. I'm sure I've heard it described like that before. This is the first one in a series. I know that there's at least 2, maybe more. He's won a bunch of awards before. It all looks really cool. There's something to do with gods. You know, it's your classic, there's armies, there's fighting, there's gods, there's a bit of magic. It's very Game of Thronesy, and I really enjoy the Game of Thrones series. I generally enjoy high fantasy like that. I think this one especially will be right up my street, so I'm expecting 5 stars. Okay, I've got 2 more for you, 2 more. So the next one that I'm really excited about, and I think is going to be a 5-star, is Kintu by Jennifer Nansibuga Mankubi. I think I'm getting better at saying your name every time I try. So this was on my TBR for the magical readathon that happened in December, but I didn't get round to it because I was really ill that week, and so my reading kind of nosedived. This is a epic sci-fi / fantasy set in Uganda, and it's to do with a cursed bloodline that goes through the Kintu clan. I've heard amazing things about it. It's not been mentioned much on BookTube, but the few times it has been mentioned, it's only been positive things. I think it's just going to be really exciting and cool. Again, we're looking at a lot of like myth and folktale and lore and that kind of thing, but this time with obviously an African slant rather than the Russian folklore that I tend to like to read. So I'm really keen on this. I think it's going to be wicked. And then my final book, and I can say that confidently because it is the final book. Normally I'm wrong about that, but this is my final one. It's Positive by David Wellington. So this is a post-apocalyptic book. Years after a plague, there's zombies, there's some kind of safe space which you can try and get to, and there's a character who might be infected, might not be, and he needs to get it to the safe space and find out if his infection is actually real or not. So I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic books. I love dystopian fiction. I normally go for ones that don't have zombie type vibes and instead go for just like flu's wiped out a bunch of people and now we have to work out how to survive. However, having said that, I did read The Girl with All the Gifts and the Boy on the Bridge, which is a zombie-ish book, last year and really enjoyed it. And I think this came up as like recommended based off of that. Generally, I'm far more willing to forgive post-apocalyptic fiction for things that would annoy me in any other genre. So basically, like, books can be objectively worse or bad books and still get a 5-star rating from me because of just how much I enjoy the ride. So based on that, I think even if this book isn't objectively very good, I will still give it a 5-star rating because I'm gonna love it. That's my thought process on this one. We all have those genres which we do that for, where you're just like willing to forgive the author some sloppy writing because you're happy to be reading something like that because that's your jam. Like, we all have that. Okay, and that is it for me. These are my 5-star predictions. Hopefully I will check back in relatively soon as I finish reading all of them. My plan is definitely by the end of 2019, but ideally more sooner, that's not a word, but ideally sooner than that, so that I can make the next one, which was really good fun. Cool, right, that is it from me. Also, don't forget you can find me on various social medias, including Twitter and Goodreads. Please do find me on Goodreads because I'd like a few more friends on there. My feed is very quiet and I update all the time and I'm on it all the time, but I feel like not much happens massively on mine. So please do come find me, come hang out, and you'll get to see what I'm reading constantly, basically. Have a wonderful reading week and I will chat to you soon. Bye guys!